Thank you very much for inviting me, first of all, and for having this opportunity to discuss this very important topic, and I mean the security topic. In Moldova, unfortunately, we are not raising so often this issue, although for us it is also very quite important one, taking into account the situation in the eastern region. I would like to mention that indeed in a new era we are facing new security challenges, and the ones that we are facing at the moment is the hybrid warfare and of course the propaganda and the informational war. To be sincere, I guess 4 years ago or 5 years ago, when we were discussing the security strategy of the Republic of Moldova, we didn't even mention in the strategy the informational security. And this was one of the issues that were raised by the civil society when we were debating the document. And then we didn't even thought about such a security threat. Now we see that this is a real threat, and practically sometimes it's even worse than a violent conflict, and it has the repercussions even worse than a violent conflict. After the annexation of Crimea, Moldova started to face a difficult problem, and this is mainly the propaganda and the Russian propaganda in Moldova. As you know, unfortunately, the media environment and the informational space of the Republic of Moldova is controlled a lot by the Russian media. And this is why Moldova has to face a lot of disinformation regarding different kind of topics, from social ones to political ones. I would say that in terms of soft power, the Russian Federation has reached a very high level in Moldova, because it is very keen in using the propaganda machine in order to promote its interests on our territory. If we look at the polls of the public opinion, we will see that unfortunately the popularity of the Russian TV is quite increased, and sometimes it reaches up to 60% of popularity. And this is not because people like to watch it or really believe in the information that they are receiving, but they have this nostalgia for the past, and sometimes they are used to watch the Russian media due to the Soviet times. And this is why the level of popularity of the Russian media is so high. And of course, it is a very good way of promoting your interests, but also the information that you will want that people receive. Unfortunately, I would also say that it has an impact on the minds of the people, because after the annexation of Crimea, also according to one of the public barometers of opinion, we saw that about up to 40% of the people considered that the annexation of Crimea was a legitimate act from the part of the Russian Federation. Of course, this is an information which after that can be discussed, because being addressed some other questions, these people have answered differently. But still, the fact that we have 40% of the people who somehow consider that this is a legitimate act, it means that the Russian propaganda has achieved its goal. At the moment, I would say that I think that this level decreased. We didn't put this question after that, but due to the securing the informational space, we try to avoid and to counterfight the Russian propaganda. It is also important to have the support of our partners in doing this, and NATO, it is of course the mechanism that the NATO is using, but also the European Union are quite important for us, but also for the region, because unfortunately by ourselves it is very difficult to counterfight the Russian propaganda. Also, one of the elements of soft power which is used by the Russian Federation is using the stereotypes that exist in the society, but also to base all the information that it is given to the space on the nostalgia, but also on the human dimension, because it is very easy to appeal to the human feelings, but also to the nostalgia for the past. So this is why on our path to European pattern of development, and during the negotiation of the association agreement, but also the implementation of the visa liberalization action plan, we faced a lot of disinformation which was coming from the part of the media, but also from the part of the civil society organizations which were supported by the Russian Federation. This disinformation was related to very simple issues, but issues that appealed to people. Like, for example, if we will sign the association agreement, then the Europeans will come and will take your land. And you know how important land is for people. So there were these kind of messages that were related to their daily life, for example. So you will not be able to kill your animals in a certain way because there are some certain regulations. And this is how I would say that they have reached the ordinary citizens, and this is how this contributed to the decrease of popularity of the European Union somehow in the Republic of Moldova. Because then people were saying, okay, but we don't want to give up our ordinary way of life, so then of course we are not supporting so much the European pattern of development. This is why we have to understand that this propaganda campaign, they are very efficient, and they are tackling issues that are related to human daily life, and this is how it is very easy to reach the minds and the hearts of people. Also, one of the elements of the propaganda, it is to use the language and the policy of compatriots in the eastern region, in the countries which formerly were part of the Soviet Union. And but I would agree with my colleague from Ukraine. For example, in Moldova, you will see that people are speaking freely in the Russian language. We have Russian language schools, and also in the autonomous region of Gagauzia, for example, and in the separatist region in Transnistria, people are speaking freely in Russia, and also the Russian language has the level of intercultural language. So in any way, the Republic of Moldova is violating the right of people to speak freely in an ethnic minority language, but they have also the possibility to study and to communicate even at the authorities level, because all the documents in the Republic of Moldova, they are also translated in Russia. And also I will mention here that some of our parliamentarians are speaking Russian, and they have Russian translation in the parliament. So it is, this information is very easy to combat when it emerges, but for that you have to have very efficient tools of communication inside the country, and to have a very good communication strategy at the governmental level. And this is something that we would like to, we have to establish in order to create a link between the government and the citizens, and to explain fully what the European Union means on one part, because this is our main foreign policy direction, and we would like to continue our European pattern of development, but also on the other hand to face the propaganda machine which is working from the part of the Russian Federation on the Republic of Moldovan territory. I know that we have very little time, so if there will be any question, then I will be very happy to answer to them. Thank you very much.